I know I'm going to take a lot of crap for this coffee mug, but my mom left it here when she helped move me down, and it's so big that you don't have to keep refilling it. So I'm going to keep using it. I love this thing. But what I just did was sign the letter of intent and did some other paperwork, sent that into the realtor, and if it gets approved, we're to the final step, the negotiating. So, the letter of intent, it's nothing binding, nothing contractual. So we're still fine. It just shows very high interest in our part and their high interest too. So, excited. We're on to that last step. We really want this place because we don't want to settle for anything less. It's perfect size, great location, very professional look, and I think it'd be a great place for you guys.
Come on. Michael, we don't know what you're talking about. What's in that outside?
The ketchup is back, guys. I miss this so much. I was tired of hot sauce. I think it's too much sodium. It's a little too spicy for me, but as you guys noticed, I was watching The Office this morning. Favorite show. It's on Netflix. We actually do not have cable, and that's because we don't really watch much TV. We don't really need it. If we want to watch something, we'll put it on Netflix. But I've personally gotten so into watching other YouTubers over the last 4 months, and especially the last couple weeks since I've had time, since inventory's been low. I think it's so interesting to be able to see other people's lives, and it's really like reality TV, people producing their own content. You can see what they're doing. There's MTV, reality TV, but that's not legit. This is actual, getting to see what other people are doing with their lives, and anyone can upload. That's the great thing about YouTube. Anyone can put out content. With, TV shows and movies, you can put out good content, but you don't know who's going to see that. You got to deal with marketing, distribution. Just creating content is just probably the smallest thing. With YouTube, if you have good content, you're going to find people. So strength is finally coming back, guys. I'm feeling good again. The last 2 weeks of dieting, I just felt like crap. My strength was all the way down. I was lethargic. I was barely pressing the 100s on dumbbell presses, even just flat presses for bench. And now I'm already up on slight incline to right here. I did 110s for the last 3 sets, 6 reps. So I'll get up to the 120s eventually, maybe in 3 or 4 weeks from now. But this is the best way to come out of a diet, slowly reverse dieting. I've never really done it this strict either, and I feel great right now. I don't know if I'm gaining weight right now, and I'm gonna check actually what my weight is at the end of this workout. So I wanna see where I'm at, but I can tell the strength is coming back from more carbs, more, calories, and it's great because compare it to, just eating whatever I want and blowing up right away, getting to a overweight 225 pressing 120s on incline press, compared to I could be 200 pounds at a lean bulk pressing the same amount of weight. So that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to be at. That's the great thing about reverse dieting. You can stay pretty lean, but your strength is going to come back. So quick tip, you got to reverse diet. I've made that mistake before, so just take it slow, and it's all about having patience, and the strength and gains will come. So just weighed myself about the same weight. I didn't even break 200 yet. My hunger has gone up though. So before I was eating 325 carbs, now I'm eating 450 plus. And that happens to a lot of people when they start reverse dieting. You'll get that hunger even more than when you were dieting. So I'm gonna go home now, get a post-workout. I'll show you guys how I combat those hunger issues. First though, let's get some donuts. The sweat in my eyes is killing me. So toward the end of that workout, this guy came up to me, and I was taking tons of pictures today, a lot of videos, setting the tripod up all over the place. And I'm pretty comfortable with it now. I don't really care as much anymore now that I've been doing it for like 4 or 5 months. But you could tell he wanted to get into the whole social media fitness so bad. And I think so many people, want to, but they just never do. And his reason was, he didn't really have the supporting cast. And I look back on it now, and if I never had, my brother to push me, I probably would have never done it because I didn't really believe in myself at all. I didn't think I had the personality. And we pretty much talked and said, me and this guy in there, if you're just yourself, you're going to find your following. There's going to be people that, follow your personality because they're going to have a personality like that, and they're going to like listening to you. They want to see people that are similar. And I think the worst thing you can do is just bullshit everything and not be yourself. But, this guy, you could tell he was so passionate
and we talked, and I'm gonna see him a lot more in there, I'm sure. And if you have a good supporting cast, good supporting team, people you surround yourself with, it's so much easier to get into it because you have them to push you. It's always the hardest starting out, making that first video, because before you start out, I think everyone has that problem. What am I going to film? I know what I like to do, but what am I actually going to film in all these videos if I keep making them? And the thing is, once you start making them, I think, it gets easier and smoother. Ideas come to you throughout the day. You don't even have to think about them. It's like anything, when you first start driving, you have to think the whole time and you're worried. And then, 5 years later, you're 21, you don't even think when you're driving. It's just secondhand. I think it's the same thing with vlogging, just the hardest thing is just starting out. And getting past people laughing at you in public, people, it not being smooth. It's going to be awkward when you first start, but just jumping into it, doing some research, I think that's what you got to do. And it's pretty cool because I think he's going to start doing it. At Shipley's right now. Never mind, they're closed and I can't get through the drive-thru, so I have to reverse this entire thing. And we're good. I don't think I needed that donut anyway, but I want to try those colaches, or however you say it. I know I probably battered that, so I'll take crap for that too, but been hearing a lot about these colaches, so next time I'll give them a try. So I told you guys that I have been starving, and even though I'm reverse dieting, I'm eating another extra 600 calories at least from what I was eating when I was cutting. I think my metabolism's just running really fast right now, and I'm eating pretty much the same foods, not too much of a difference. Now, there's some things that I have changed. I don't eat Walden Farm syrup anymore, which was 0 calories. Now I'll use, light syrup, which is about 100 calories per serving if you use a 1/4 cup, which is a lot of syrup. So pretty much the same foods, but I have started actually eating more volume foods, so more salads, more things that are gonna keep me full. So I'm gonna show you guys something quick that I've been making just every single day just to keep me fuller longer. I'm just gonna do like a simple Chipotle bowl. So we got 1 cup of jasmine rice in there already. I'll just add 8 ounces of pre-cooked chicken. Not that much, just 1/4 a serving of kidney beans and 1/4 of serving of corn. Mix that in there. Then I'll put the lettuce. That's just gonna add more volume. Sour cream. 1.5 servings of the light sour cream. And get that cheese in there now that we're done dieting. And also, one more thing. Gotta get that salsa in there too. And salsa is gonna be low in carbs, as a lot of you guys know. Get 2 servings, which is still only like 20 calories. And that's about it. Now it's all mixed up, and I'm actually gonna add some croutons, even though that sounds kind of weird. I always need like a crunch, and I don't have any chips. Like if I'm at Chipotle, I always put chips in my bowl. But I'll do that, and this meal is just gonna keep me fuller longer. Add more lettuce if you're dieting and less on calories. The lettuce is what's gonna keep me full. And just these foods are all low in fat. Even the chicken, that's like 99 chicken. Beans, corn, all very low in fats. It's gonna be low or high volume and keep the calories low. So it is 4 p.m. right now, going back and forth with our realtor and our landlord doing some negotiating. So we're in those stages right now. Just gotta make sure the price is right. Our initial offer. That's the way we do it, or at least I do it, negotiating. And you think negotiating all over the phone and whatnot, but my last job was all negotiating with international purchasing and stuff. And pretty much it's all done on email, so you can always have it tracked in your system. You don't want to be on the phone and then forget to write something down. But, what I like to do is give the best offer first. I'm not going to go something crazy low, way out of the price range that doesn't make any sense. I want to give what's fair for us and what's fair for the other person, whether it was in my last job or, what I'm doing now. So first offer is always our final offer. So we'll see how it works out. Always afraid there's gonna be a scorpion in my shoe. I told you guys that I was gonna start doing cardio, and I'm doing it already. I'm sticking to it 5 to 10 minutes a day. Just something simple, something that's gonna get my heart rate up. Today I'm just running around the neighborhood. Some days I'll go to a field and do some old football, cone sprints, 5 or 6 of them, just keep it nice and short and sweet. I like getting that endorphin release, that quick, kind of like runner's high, and also it's just going to be really good for my cardiovascular system. was to go to the lake this morning and catch the sunrise, and on Instagram I saw everyone's pictures, just like the most gorgeous sunrise this morning. So we're going to check out the sunset. I don't know if it's gonna be as nice, but I mean, look at this view. This lake is perfect. Losing light right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna call it a night. I need to try that Arctic Zero ice cream out tonight. Haven't tried it yet. I had the other one, the one with the fewer calories I showed you in a video already, but gonna go to the store, pick that up, finish off my macros this weekend. Then I'm going into Austin, probably gonna film a Q&A, so I hope you guys watch that video too, and I'll see you then.